Hey y'all, this is David, the Georgia photographer, and I have the 55mm f3.5 Micro Nikkor lens, and my plan is to shoot photos of things like that movie marquee. I want to play with this lens tonight and get it in some low light scenarios, do some stop down photos, things like that. I'm trying to get some light stars out of it. I want to see how it performs on the SL2 and see if a Leica camera can make this lens perform any better. This lens is about 2.5 inches in diameter. It's about 2 inches long, compressed. It does have external focus. In other words, the whole mechanism extends as you rack the focus out. It has a 6-bladed aperture, yep, and the aperture blades are rounded. It is from f3.5 to f32. It is almost a full 360-degree focus throw to go down into the macro region, but the regular use range, which would be say 2 feet to infinity, is about, it's a little less than a quarter of a turn to go from 2 feet to infinity. So general purpose photography, the focus throw is very short. It's a very well made lens. It's all metal construction, of course, because from that period Nikon used brass and all this. It's beautifully engraved. It's not painted letters, they're paint filled engraved letters. It's a wonderful piece of equipment. Here's something really interesting about the Princess Theater in South Pittsburgh. When I lined up with the center of the building, I don't know if you can tell it in the video, there's a set of double doors, and off center is another set of doors because the box office is off to one side. The front entrance, I think, has been rebuilt at some point in the past because it's asymmetrical and the rest of the building is symmetrical. Well, would you look at that? They turned on the princess sign. I gotta get more pictures. They lit it up for me. I'm pretty sure they seen me over here. They had to. Or it comes on at 6 o'clock because it just turned 6. This is pretty epic now. I've taken a bunch of shots handheld because I just wanted to grab a bunch of photos of it before they maybe turn the lights back off. But it looks like they're going to stay on for a while, so I really want to do an HDR stack in Lightroom. After Aaron showed me how, it really is a game changer for me. So I'm going to get my tripod out of the truck to get a few photos that way so I can do a bracket. Just shot a couple of bracketed stacks. The last one was a 7-shot bracket, so I've got as much information as possible about this image. Now I am shooting it with this 55mm macro, which in Nikon terms is a Micro Nikkor, but it is a macro lens. Now, that doesn't mean you can't take photos of things that are not macro photos with this lens. That just means that it will focus ridiculously close to the camera. That's the whole point of a macro lens. The closer it focuses, the larger the image will present to the sensor. That's all macro really is. What it does allow is detail shots. You know, and with a good image stabilized camera like these new mirrorless machines with the IBIS on the sensor, you can shoot at some seriously slow shutter speeds now. Now, if you're shooting like bug portraits or whatever, you're gonna have a ring flash on your lens anyway, and you know, you can shoot it 1/200 of a second or whatever and sync your flash and it's going to work fine. But yeah, honestly, I need about a 35mm. I'm a little bit tight. I'm all the way against the wall here with my tripod, and it's just barely getting the building all in frame. By the time it stacks it and I clean it up a little bit, it will probably trim some of the edges off, but I'm good with that. The light's what I'm after, not the dark portions of the building on the edge of frame. So, all right, now with that, I'm going down to get a photo or two of that lawn sign at the end of the street because it's really cool light. Let's go see what we can do with that now. I stopped it down at the convenience store because there's a bunch of bright lights. They probably weren't as fine as I would like for them to be to see if they make good stars. It made stars, but they seem kind of mushy. I stopped it all the way down for one and backed it off a stop for the other ones, and it still seemed a little bit mushy. It's really cold. I left out from the truck a while ago and walked way down the street, did a bracket, and when I got there, I realized that the battery light was flashing red on my camera. It's always something like that. And of course, I didn't bring my spare battery. It was in the truck. It was within visual sight distance, but it was way down there at the truck. So I got lucky and got all my photos I really wanted before it died. And I came back, swapped batteries, took a few more pictures. I think I'm gonna wrap things up here and head back, get into the studio, and we'll do a little commentary over that when I get back to the house. Okay, we're back home where I can edit these photos. I've got them pulled up in Lightroom. I've went through the catalog and sorted them down to the ones I want. This is a photo of Hammers, which is a clothing store that's real prolific in this area. They specialize in work clothes. A lot of Carhartt stuff is sold at Hammers. Then I noticed that the movie theater, if you'll look, the word Princess is not illuminated because I got there at about 10 minutes till 6. It's very crisp. There is some ISO noise, as you can see right here, but the long and short of it is the image looks pretty good to me. I walked by a barber shop, and there were vertical blinds in front of the window, and the blinds didn't like sync up, so you could see through them in places. And I thought this is a pretty cool photo. I turned it to black and white. If you turn it back to, well, wrong button. If I turn off black and white, you can see in color it's just the fluorescent light, kind of bluish green, and I didn't think that looked real great, so I turned it to monochrome. And it kind of brought the chair out. It makes it look a little bit interesting. When I tried to expose the street, of course, this was a white circle. So I did me in a stack of several photos so that I could get this exposed. And then this did stack up pretty good in HDR. Wandered around a little more. And lo and behold, they turned on the words Princess. I think at 6 o'clock there was a timer that turned it on because the lights around the signs here, these movie poster signs, they come on as well, and they were marching lights. So that's why you got these weird, some of them are off, some of them are on, some of these are missing. But I was able to center up and get a really cool photo. Now, here's something I'm going to show you. There's minimal ISO noise. And, you know, this is zoomed in pretty big. You can see there's some noise on the car. It's not a big problem to me. I mean, to give you the idea of what the noise looked like before I used the Lightroom noise reduction tool, look at all this ISO noise. Look at that. Isn't that incredible? And then this is what happens when I tried to do a exposure stack and merge them in Lightroom. This part looks fine in the center, but over here these lights have this weird issue where at each exposure level, the blown out portion from these floodlights was progressively smaller and smaller. Well, it merged it and it made this weird issue with the floodlights on the sides. I found this 3D loan sign, 3D financial loan. This is also shot off a tripod. So I have motion blur. The image is shot at f11 at 1/25 of a second. You can see the car's blurry from the movement. I just like the colors and the signs and all that. This could have been exposed a little brighter. I think it's a little bit underexposed. Maybe I turned down the exposure on that just more than I should have. Trying to pull it back to get the detail in it. But you know, I thought the sign was pretty cool. F32. This is stopped all the way down. This is a 2-second exposure at f32. Because what I was after was the light stars with the lens stopped down. Because I knew it had a 6-blade aperture and I was curious to see. I really liked the gas station picture this time. It looks pretty good. And I did it in 16:9 because when you uncrop it, there's a whole bunch of just road down here that doesn't add anything to the image. That's looking through the window at Hammers. And what I done is I stuck the lens up against the glass. And that's how you cheat and get away with not having to have a circular polarizer when you're shooting through a window. If you can just stick it squarely against the glass, then you won't have issues other than the distortion of the window itself, you know, because it's not optical grade glass. This is handheld, mind you, at 1/30th of a second, focused in at about a foot away. But at f11, since it was a flat card, it's pretty well in focus. You know, it's clean. You can see it's pretty sharp. That's pretty impressive, actually. And yeah, look, you can even see the tape. Oh, look, you can see their fingerprints where they stuck it to their thumb when they caught that handheld. Now, here's another handheld photo. This is how good the IBIS works in the SL2. This is a 1/30th of a second photo. It's saying it's f4.5. If you look close, this is handheld. Look how sharp and crisp this is. It's crazy sharp. You know, now you're starting to fade into the background there, but you can see the wire here is in the focus plane, how sharp it is. This little guy's crispy. Look at that. at least I've got a decent cup of coffee now, and we can get back to business as usual. I've come up here to Chattanooga, and now, true to form, it's overcast. It's actually raining just a little bit off and on, but it's not right now. It rained on me driving up, so we'll see how it goes. But I came up here to meet a friend for lunch, and that's a very loud truck. All in all, you've done seen from the review, the lens is a performer. If you need a good macro lens, especially if you're doing product photography and you're doing it like on stills and you're using a flash to illuminate, or a light box to illuminate your product, you can't go wrong with this lens. It's stunningly sharp, and for a general purpose walk around lens, this is a wonderful lens for really reasonable money. So with that, I appreciate you watching, and this is David, the Georgia photographer, and I'm going to tell you, until next time, get your camera out and go take a picture with it. All right, we'll see you later. Bye bye.